Three, two, one.
Hello, everybody. Hi, YouTube. Today, Greg is with me, and so is Sophia.
Hey
Hey,
everybody.
Catherine.
And what we're going to do today is go over item number 53. Now, a couple of weeks ago, when we were doing part of Greg's books on the autopsy, we were covering Raniya's autopsy first. And while we were reading that, something caught my eye about item number 53. And that's what we're going to cover today. And I think you are going to find this really interesting because I know we have. We know we've been talking about this, and Sophia's helped me actually, she put the presentation together, and yeah, it's interesting. So, without further ado, and I don't want to waste any time, I'm going to let's see. Oops, hold on. There we go. I'm going to start this presentation and I want to share this with you. We're going to go through this one thing at a time. It takes my computer a minute to get it together to pull it up. There we go. And can you guys see this? Is it showing up on your screens?
Yep, shows up. Looks good.
Okay. Item number 53, the bullet with Raniya's DNA. Now, the one thing before we get started with this, the one thing I do want to say is that I know all of us, including myself, have all assumed that since item number 53, this bullet had Raniya's DNA, that this was the quote unquote bullet that killed Raniya. You won't believe that anymore after we get done with this presentation. Okay, so the AVPD collects item number 53 on January 20th, 2015. And this here's part of the supplemental report, and it's part of the AVPD redacted, page number 51, and it gives you the time and the date of who picked it up, when they were called, and how it was found. And it was found when the cleaning crew was rolling up the rug and it rolled out onto the floor. And again, I know I've said this before, that's to be expected. I don't want to, like diss the AVPD because they missed this particular bullet, because it's really hard to find oftentimes the spent bullets that, are end up at a crime scene, because this could have rolled underneath a couch. And as they're rolling, then it's rolling on through, and then that's the only reason they find it. So the police aren't going to be moving furniture looking for bullets. But so it makes sense in my head that they missed it, and then the cleaning crew did find it, and they contacted the police. Here's what item number 53 looked like. That's where it landed on the floor. The cleaning crew did not
Catherine,
touch it. Do
we
you want to
can't
say?
see it.
Yeah, we're still
We're
seeing
still on
slide
the very
slide
first
one.
page.
Okay, can you see it now? Are you
I
still
can
on
Yes.
the
see
first?
we're on
Oh,
three
wait.
now.
I'm sorry.
There it is. It's finally caught up to
Oh,
YouTube.
okay. So maybe it just takes it a moment to catch up, or maybe. Well, okay, we'll see. If it takes too long, we'll just go through the other way. Can you see it now?
Yeah, we can see
Yes.
it.
Okay. And again, this is where it landed when it rolled out from the rug, and the cleaning crew just left it on the floor.
And just so people have a little bit of perspective, this desk and where the bullet is over by where the wall had Allahu Akbar on it and had been painted over. So we just don't have a pan out on that photo.
Okay. And again, just a different view of this. And I'm going to leave this in the slide view, and I'm going to go in a little bit closer on this so you guys can get a better view of item number 53. Now, in the previous one, it looked a little dark here, but that was just due to the shadowing and stuff. So when the light from the camera, the flash hits it, you can still see that it's very bright. It's copper. It does not look like it's gone through a human body. It's still very shiny. And same thing here. You can see the shine, and I'll zoom in on it so you can see it again. Are you guys seeing the next picture?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. I think the problem is when I put it in full view, it's for somehow it won't recognize that. So we'll just keep it in this view. And again, looks very shiny. And we will compare this to bullets that actually we know went through Komel, and you'll be able to see the difference between how shiny this is and how dull the other bullets are. And these are the notes from the BCA, and it says item number 53. Let's see if I can get it. TSCBB, it must be a person. They took the bullet was found at the residence. They took a sterile swab. They swabbed it. It was tested as phenopositive, which means it tested positive for blood. Then they took the swab and they cataloged it as item number 53-1. The swab they did as item 53-1. And there were several apparent hairs and fibers, and they labeled those as 53-2. Now, I found that interesting because when we go here, let's go back. Which one is it? Oh, sorry. What is going on here? Oh, sorry. Oh my God, watch what my fingers are doing. I don't really see a lot of fibers. This looks like this might be part of the rug there. So this would be apparent fibers of some sort right here. Let's look here. So right there. So maybe that's what they're talking about, but I don't see hair per se.
Yeah.
Let me go back to this photo here. We'll take a better look. Again, not seeing hair per se, but that does appear to be some type of fibers, dust maybe from underneath wherever it was located. But even on this photo, yeah, not seeing hair. So I'm not sure what they mean by apparent hairs, but you clearly can see some fibrous tissue here, not tissue, but fibers here that looks to me like it came from the rug. So maybe that's what it picked up. Maybe when it hit the rug, as it's mushrooming out. I don't know. I don't know how it would have got that.
It looks a little bit like the beige part of the rug.
Yeah.
Or the cream part.
Yeah, it does. You're right. So again, that, but why they say apparent hairs, I don't see any hair anywhere on that bullet that was found on the floor, but they say apparent hair / fibers unless there was a hair mixed up in the fiber. I don't know. And they labeled that as item 53-2. This is from the BCA data request page 173. This was the worksheet that they did. And this is for items 57 and 53. And item 53, again, is the one we're looking at. And boy, this little doohickey thing is going to drive me crazy. So here, the packaging and how it was sealed. The material that was found on it, this just says trace material, white material. Same with this one, trace white material. And the other bullets, when you're looking at the worksheets, they all say apparent blood, apparent hairs. This just simply states white material, giving you the caliber, the condition that the bullet was in, closed, flat, expanded for number 53, compared to number 57, which was only partially expanded, but 53 is the one we're on. Just basic information about item number 53. Now, these are the really poor photos that they gave us. These are the black and white photos that they took in the ballistics. They should have sent color photos because this is really poor. This is supposed to be item 53. and them supposedly measuring it. We can't see a thing here, but this is what they gave us. And this was taken from BCA data request, page number 182. And same thing from page 182. And here they're comparing. Let's see. This is test fire item number 2 compared with item number 53. Now, they say it matches. I don't know anything about ballistics. I don't, but I question this. To me, it's like, yes, it's similar, but to me, it doesn't look like a match, especially when we go up here. Nothing matches in this area, but again, these are probably, they're looking at just the lands and grooves. But this part here does not match up with this here. This could, I guess you could say it would match there, and that could match there. But it's, and again, I'm not a ballistics expert, so maybe it is a match, but I don't know. That just, it's weird.
I'd be curious to know if these photos they're in black and white, but is that just the way, like, is that what the raw photos, would they look like this too, or
No,
you know,
no, these
would
are,
they be color? I mean,
well, I don't know.
I've never seen one of these photos
I don't know.
before.
Maybe on this one, maybe this one particular one, you're right, which is different from this. This is just they did a photocopy of this one.
Right.
Everything is dark and it's terrible. But this one, maybe you're right, because the writing here is white. They have the case number, the item number 1, the test fire. So this is their test fire bullet number 2 that they compared to item number 53. So I want to know what test fire, how it compares to test fire number 1, 3, and 4, because I test fired full 4 bullets, and on their reports they were saying poor reproducibility. So I want to see how, just out of curiosity and how my brain works, is I would like to see number 53 compared with all of them, or is this the only one that they could find that came close? I don't know, and it could have very well have matched all of them. I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth, because as you see, it won't matter whether or not it did.
Well, all the test bullets should look the same, right?
Yeah,
Wouldn't
they
be doing
should.
the same.
They absolutely should. But on their report, it states poor reproducibility when they were doing their test firing, trying to get the bullets to match each other. So that's their words, not mine. And this is the BCA data request, page number 185. Again, it's talking about the brand, the grain of the bullets. They had a brass disc and a base. Items number 42, 43, 44, 45, 53, 57 are consistent in construction appearance to SAF 2661. So, and then here's where I'm going to take, I'm going to take issue with what they state here. These same items, 42, 43, 45, 53, 57, are consistent in weight. Now, let me stop sharing this one right here, because come to find out, I have to share each one individual. I'm going to share a different page with you guys now and show you the weights of these bullets, and they're not consistent. Let me get the right one here. Oh, here we go. I'm going to share. You got, did it pop up on the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, it's here.
Okay, good. Okay, and as we see here, these are the items numbers. These are all bullets, 1 fragment. The weights of all of these were 180 grains. This is the weights that they caught them at. 42 is 167.98. It's a difference of 12.02. Now, item number 43 was really close, 179.56, only off of a 0.44. So that would be consistent. I would not call number 42 consistent. Number 44, 130.24 grains. It's missing 49.76 grains. That's not consistent in weight. That's almost 50 grains off of the total weight. Number 45, that's the one that was in the basement wall that has nobody's DNA. That one at 173.9 grains, and it's only off by 6.1. Number 53, the one that we're talking about, weighed 169.54 grains, so it is off by 10.46 grains. And then number 57 was right on the money. In fact, it weighed just a little bit more than the 180 grains, so it lost no weight whatsoever, compared to all of these other ones, which did lose weight. So in my brain and the way I'm looking at this, they're not, 57 is consistent. Number 43 is consistent. Number 45 could be pretty darn close to consistent, but the others are not consistent in weight.
Catherine, are you able to zoom in on 53 at all? Line for
I
that
can't.
line?
I cannot hear you. I'm sorry.
Are you able to zoom in on item 53? The line for that?
Zoom in. I don't know if it'll let me zoom in view. I'm trying.
Yeah, go to the bottom right, where that 100 is.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Thank you. Is that better?
That's
Yes,
much
I was
better.
just trying to help the audience see it a little bit better.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And so
Mhm.
they're now they can actually see these are the weights, and it was taken from the reports. The item number, what it was, the weight it was to begin with, and then the weight after firing. This they measured it, and then the difference between what it should have been and what it was. So again, here's item number 53. It's off by 10.46. But again, I don't consider number 44, 130.24 is consistent in weight. 169, I don't consider consistent. To me, like number 43 and 57 is pretty close. 42, maybe you could argue it, but no, 42, no. Maybe, yeah, it's even more. But, and then so we'll go back to the rest of the slide presentation. Sorry about having to go back and forth, guys, the way this is set up. It's how it works. So I don't believe that they were consistent in weight. You guys can, you make your own judgment call. I see a difference. And then that duplicated itself in here. Why, I have no idea. Welcome to the program. Okay, and here's where we're going to do a comparison. We're going to compare item 53 to items 42 and 44. And we're going to do that so you can see items number 42 and 44, we know that they are connected to Komel, and they actually, unfortunately, not to be rude, crude, and offensive, but these we do know went through her body. So we're going to show you the difference in how they look. I'm going to zoom in for you. Item number 42. This one we know went through Komel. You can see the hair all caught up in here. There's hair lying around the floor as well, but you see hair within the bullet itself. And you see how dark this is. Now, let's compare that with item number 53. It's still bright, shiny copper. Doesn't look the same. Doesn't have that oxidized look like the other one, like item number 42. One more time so you can get a better look. Item number 42. Item number 53. Okay, we'll go on to item number 44 now. Let's compare 44 with, first let's take a look again at item number 53. Shiny, no problems. Yes, a little bit of fiber there. We notice that there's only one petal here missing. Now the hollow point 40 cal 180 grain has 6 petals. And we can count these other 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there are 6. So we know there's only 1 petal missing. Now let's compare this with number 44. And again, look at the difference in the coloring. Look how dark this is. It's not, oops, sorry. It's not bright and shiny. It's very dull, oxidized. And unfortunately, it's kind of mushed into the rug, but that doesn't matter because you can clearly see how dark that is compared to item number 53.
You can also see that there's hair around it too.
Correct, yes. And that's the difference. There's some hair there. If we pull back, you can see. So that hair does go into here. Is it lying on top or part of it? We don't know. But there's some strands there. So it's more than likely this, like Sophia was stating, this is probably intertwined within the mushroomed ends of that bullet. So that does have hair, and you can clearly see it. Again, I'm not seeing hair on this. I do see a little bit of fibers there, but I am not seeing hair. So I'm curious why they wrote hair.
And it very well could have been dog hair.
Yeah.
If they had seen any.
Exactly, because you're correct. They don't state what type of hair or fibers. Now, here's where the interesting part is going to come into play. This is information from Raniya's autopsy report. And page 1, perforating gunshot wound of the head, indeterminate range. The entrance, right parietal scalp, path, right parietal bone with internal beveling and fractures, dura, brain, dura, left temporal bone with fractures. Exit, left post-auricular scalp, associated injuries, calvarium and basilar skull fractures. Recovery, please pay attention to this. Projectile fragments from left temporal skull. The trajectory, leftward, downward, and backward. The recovery is going to come into play here. Again, this is missing one petal. And if you remember, this was only off by 10.46 grains. The total weight of this was 169.54. Now we're going to go to the rest of our autopsy. Well, not the rest, but another part of our autopsy report, page 4. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see this yourself as I read it. We're going to go over the radiograph section. Postmortem anterior, posterior, and lateral radiographs of the head demonstrate several small radiopaque projectile fragments in the left basilar skull. A circular defect is in the right side of the skull, and multiple linear skull fractures are present. Okay, I want you guys to hear this. This is another part of the brain. We know that they took out 3 projectiles from the left side of her head. Now there are also multiple projectiles in the basilar skull. The basilar skull is the base, the bottom part of her head. Multiple. There's only 1 petal missing from item number 53. We will continue. And we're just going to bring this up here so you can see it. Again, several small radiopaque projectile fragments in the left basilar skull. That is in addition to projectile fragments from the left temporal skull. This would be over here like above, say around her ear. The basilar skull is down at the bottom of her skull, toward the bottom. The recovered from the left, now we're back up here, left temporal skull are 3.2 to 0.8 centimeter maximum dimension gray colored metal projectile fragments. The three of these fragments are too large to make up the petal of item number 53. All recovered projectile fragments are photographed and played. Now, this one, unfortunately, a part of it got cut off. This is talking about the projectile fragments that were found in the basilar part of her skull. They were recovered and photographed and placed in separate labeled sealed envelopes. And that is all you ever hear about these. In fact, the ones in the temporal, these that were recovered from, say, close to where the exit wound was, and these that were found at the base of her skull, this is all you find. We don't have any other information. They didn't weigh them. They did measure these ones, though. So we know that the three that they recovered, we don't know. Now, they should have. Why they put 0.2 to 0.8, so we're just missing one with the other measurements. So why they couldn't have put 0.2, whatever the other one measured, and then the 0.8, I have no idea. But 0.2 to 0.8 plus another measurement of the ones recovered from the exit wound area. And then these that were included that they got from the base of her skull. Again, this is the only thing that is missing, this one petal. Now, there are a minimum of 5 to 6 fragments that were pulled from Raniya's head. This is missing one.
It's pretty significant.
I'm sorry?
It's pretty significant.
Yes, very much so. Very, very much so.
I mean, the proof is right here in her autopsy report. And then you compare it to the photo, something's not matching.
Exactly. And in here, the microscopic examination, sections of the heart, again, this is back to tell you that she's an early to moderate decomp. She's not advanced stage because they're sectioning the organs. Sections of the heart, liver, and kidney show autolysis and postmortem bacterial growth. No significant pathological abnormalities are identified. A section of soft tissue surrounding the entrance gunshot wound to the head, 2, shows blood, fragments of gray matter, or her little brain, white polarizable material, and granular brown material. So this is what they saw when they did their microscopic examination.
Just sad.
Now, here's where the rest of the information comes into play. The BCA lab results. For item number 53, it's a mixture of 2 or more individuals. They found 2 or more people's DNA on this fragment. It was not touched by anyone. Well, anyone, like the cleaning crew didn't touch it. The police did not touch it. And yet we have David and Komel are excluded from being contributors. That means that there is DNA on there that is not accounted for. It matches Raniya. The major profile does not match David or Komel. And in fact, David and Komel are excluded. It is not their DNA on this bullet. And yet they would not expect the matching DNA to occur in an unrelated individual. This one I want you guys to see for yourself. I got a photo of the exact same ammunition. And you can count. There are six petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 petals. And on here, item number 53. What's left are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals left. There's only one missing, 1 petal missing. And Raniya, they found a minimum of 5 to 6 fragments in her head. Final thoughts? You two, you have anything you want to add?
From the looks of the photos compared to Komel's, I mean, in theory, Her bullet was on that carpet along with Komel's. Now, whether or not it had got pushed underneath the recliner or the couch, that's a whole different story. But if it went through her head, there should be blood, tissue, and other stuff on there. It should look like Komel's bullet. But, I mean, the whole thing about the extra fragments being still in her head, that is significant because that's not lining up with the bullet that was found.
Correct. And what this tells us, what the autopsy reports is telling us, and what the photo of number 53 is telling us, 53 is not the bullet that killed Rania.
Well,
It's
even the
not.
weight of it tells you that it's not.
Yes, exactly. There's too many fragments left in her head, and there's not enough weight missing from that. The two do not add up. If they were to add up all of the weight of the fragments that were collected from little Rania, it would put that bullet way over on weight. It's not the bullet that killed her. So they do not have and did not present to us. Not only do we not have the bullet that killed David, now we don't have the bullet that killed Rania. That is huge. Huge.
Greg?
Your sound is off, Greg.
I'm just listening, trying to take all of this in. This is some very interesting data, definitely. I'm really
Yeah.
curious about it.
And
The weight of the bullets is, I mean, looking back, I was like, wait a minute, how could being shot through somebody's head, through the ceiling, bouncing off the attic, and there's more weight on the bullet?
Yeah, right. I'm thinking that the more weight would be the plaster or the stuff that it went through the ceiling.
well, the thing is with number 57, it's only partially expanded. So it didn't really sustain a whole lot of damage, comparatively speaking, to the others. Um,
True, yeah.
so,
More than 45, right? And 40, we know 45 didn't hit anything, right?
correct. Let me pull that.
Yeah, if you have that chart was really good.
Yeah, let me pull that up here so everybody can see it again. Oops. I'm like, okay, there we go. I covered up the share screen thing. Sorry. No, wrong one. Is that the right? No, that's the blood analysis. Where did my? Hold on. Where's my? Oh, there it is. So now maybe I can get it to share. There we go. This is what you were asking for, right?
Yeah, that's good.
The bullets. Yeah, item number 45. Yeah, it had 173.9 grains left of weight, and number 53 had only 169.54. So yeah, and then 157 had all of its weight.
And
157
had more
yeah,
gain weight.
exactly. So I think that's what Sophie was trying to say. I'm sorry, Sophie, because it said it had white material. She's right. Maybe the 0.18 was the white material. I don't know.
And no white, well, it's different, right? The ceiling sheetrock is different than the flooring, I guess. But I would think if it picks up weight, the ceiling, why not on the floor?
Well, the ceiling, yes, the ceiling. Well, depending on what kind of sheetrock and what they used on the ceiling compared to the wall sheetrock, I don't know. I'm not a builder.
Yeah. That's interesting, though.
Yeah.
This is why we still wanted that test done. Anyways, that's different because that's item 57. But
yeah. So again, in number 53,
yeah,
it's only missing 10.46 grains. And when we look at that and number item 31, which is just a fragment, a small fragment, that small fragment weighed 19.14. And so you're figuring that there are at least a minimum of 6 fragments that were in little Rania's head. Well, I'm not saying 6, 5, probably 5 to 6 minimum, because they only put what did they say? Multiple projectiles? Is that what they stated in her head? Let me.
Yeah, I think they had the number. Didn't it say 2 or 3? Or
that was at the left temporal. On the left, up at
gotcha.
They took out 3, and then at the base of her skull, they found several. So that's what I'm saying. It's a total of at least 5 or 6 fragments that they took from her head.
That would
I
have
mean,
to be very, very tiny in order to match what they're saying about this
Yeah,
bullet, right?
and we know by the measurements alone of the zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.8 centimeters from the fragments that they took of her exit wound, that in and of itself would make that weigh too much. 53 won't fit. And then you add that on top of the fragments at the base of her skull. You take all those fragments together, it's too much weight to match item number 53 to
yeah,
make up that little bit of weight that was lost.
That's crazy.
yeah. Even if that pedal that is missing had broken into like two pieces, it still doesn't account for the extra pieces that they found in her when they did the autopsy. So
And the 180 grams is just standard for those bullets. I mean, is that
yes,
yeah?
Well, it depends on the type of ammunition you buy, and this particular ammunition that was in that David had was 180 grains. They do make different grains, but this particular one is 180. And so that's why when I'm looking at that and I started measuring and then doing all the math and adding it up, I'm like, wait a second. They have multiple fragments in her head. There's only one petal missing and just 10 grains missing in weight from item number 53. You put that together with the fact that it's shiny, it looks clean. And the fact that they're really, when you compared it with number, especially 42 with Komel's, where you want me to show that number 42 again, just so that way people will, I really,
well,
I want
42
everybody,
and 44 are both great examples because
right.
you can even see the extra petals missing on those.
Right. But 42, I mean, but 42, the one with 42, the reason why I want to bring that up is because you clearly see how the hair is mixed in with that. And you see the color. See, there's all kinds of hair mixed in with that. And you see how dark that is. This looks like something that went through someone's head. And I hate to be so crude, but I mean, it's the truth. That went through somebody's head. This does not look like it went through anybody's head.
And you'll notice that number 57, when you look at those BCA photos, it looks almost exactly like this.
Yes, it's
It's
very
very
shiny.
clean and shiny.
I mean, it's huge. This gives such a different understanding of the case. Um, in this scene, we have both David and Rania who are there. And yes, here we go. These are the ammunition that they found, I believe, in the trunk of the vehicle.
Hmm.
And another thing I found interesting when I was going through the reports is they did not find any ammunition in the house at all or the garage. This was found in a metal container in the trunk of a car. So that I found super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I always wonder why some are more reddish than others.
I asked about that. I called a gun store and they said that that's just kind of like a primer thing and it some just got more on it than others. They said that's normal. It's
Hmm,
typical.
interesting. Is that the only one? No, there's another one. Yeah, 180. That's what I was looking for right
Yep,
there.
180 grains. Yeah. And again, when I started doing the math and adding that up, and I realized that 53 is just like 57, which is just like 45, which is just like 31. These are not bullets that entered a human body. And we are missing, well, the police evidence is missing the bullet that killed Rania and the bullet that killed David. So if both of their blood is missing from the scene, and what I mean by that is we know David's blood is on the magazine that was inside the gun, but that's the only place it's located. Their blood, there's no high velocity blood spatter or spatter at all from David and Raniya in that house. None. And yet they sustained gunshot wounds to the head. That's missing. Everything from everyone, with the exception of Komel, is missing from that house. Their bullets and their blood. This is huge. It's just so huge. And it leaves us with far more questions than answers. And it definitely tells me now it did not happen the way that they're saying at all.
Correct.
Does anybody have any questions? Do you guys have any questions? I mean, I know, again, I know I'm notorious for repeating myself, but I do it to bring it home. This is important. There are too many fragments in Raniya's head to match up with item number 53. Item number 53 has her DNA on it, but again, they found it rolling it as they were rolling up a rug. We don't know how they were rolling it, but it is very possible that it rolled through the section of rug where Raniya's little body was lying. And then that is how it picked up her DNA, not because it went through her little tiny head. And again, the fragments in the temporal lobe and the fragments at the base of her skull tell us 53 is not the bullet that killed her. It's not.
I was expecting more questions from Greg.
Why?
I'm a little disappointed.
I was very well laid out, and those are kind of the only questions, just to make sure that the math kind of adds up, and that the weight I'm sorry, I'm really thrown off by 57, unfortunately, just with
Yeah.
the weight thing of gaining weight. What makes me want to look at the stats on the gaining weight thing. But I think that that chart that you had up really helps kind of get a quick visual where you can quickly go back and see, okay, this is the weight previously, this is the weight after, and just, I mean, even those numbers look off. They look odd, but I don't know. I guess there was another thing about 53 that the type of fracture, or the type of it, it was like I forget what the name, radio articular or something like that. So it was like, what is that? Like, how big, how small does anything like that have to be? I
Are
forget
you
what
talking
the
about the
name.
autopsy section?
Yes, yeah, from the autopsy, it gave the actual
Okay,
it
let's
gave the
share that so
name
everybody
of
else
it.
can see it as well. I'll go back to our slide, our presentation, and I will go back to the autopsy. Um, are you talking about the path? Now, what part are you
Oh,
talking about?
let me pull this up here. Kilograms. It was one of the other clips that you had. Maybe it's
Not that one.
no, not that one.
Um,
Maybe it's yes, radio
Radio opaque
PA
projectile.
radio pick.
And what that means is several small radio opaque projectile fragments is that it was picked up on the X-ray. So the metal and stuff picked it up. So radio
So it
opaque.
could be really tiny, right?
Well, when they say small, they don't say microscopic. They just say
Yeah,
small,
right.
which means that they were large enough to be picked up on the X-ray, but they obviously did not retrieve them to measure them. So we know they weren't. Oh, and I know you can't see my hands again because here I go doing my hand gestures with nobody seeing. So small could be this big, or that, like tiny. It could be small. We know it wasn't big, like a bullet. So when they say small, that's a relative term. We don't know. They didn't measure them, but we know they're not microscopic because then it wouldn't have been really picked up, and they would have had a hard time seeing it.
Right.
Large
And
enough to
then
be seen.
Yeah, and then the other ones that you had actually had the centimeters, right? Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
the
You had the
point
centimeters,
two, and
point 2 to
that's
point
the
8.
yeah. And see, that's the frustrating thing. There were three fragments they took out, and then they put point 2 to point 0.8. Well, then what was the measurement of the other one? You already have point 2, and you already have point 0.8. Is the other one much larger? Or no, it couldn't be. Could it be point 0.7? Was it point 0.3? Or why not just put it in there?
Why not just measure each one? Is that what you're saying?
They did measure each one, but they didn't write it in the report. They put point 0.2 to point 0.8 for three fragments.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, really? Okay, guys, come on. That's you
And
gave
then
us
what
two
happened?
measurements.
What happened to these fragments?
They're
They just went poof. They weren't sent over to the BCA. They weren't added to the reports.
They probably
I
have
mean,
pictures. They probably have pictures of them too, right?
yes, it did say that they took photographs of this stuff and they labeled it and put them in their own containers. But yet, it, like Sophia was saying, they're not made part of the reports, and they should have been. And if you leave that out, until we go through, and this is why people, often say, why do you guys keep going over the same thing over and over and over? Well, this is why. Because how many years have we been reading these reports? And it's not until we start putting things in order and we're going through this page by page by page, where all of a sudden now it's like ding, 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 hello, McFly, you missed something here. And now we're seeing that, you know, because they did not photograph this and make this part of the photos with numbers and send it with the other photographs of the crime scene, you know, you kind of look over that. You look past it because we're too busy looking at the crime scene photos. But now that we're reading the reports, and now these reports are telling us it's right there in black and white that they not only retrieved three fragments, but they left other smaller fragments in the base of her skull. We know now, because they also shared the weight of these bullets, they do not belong, the fragments in her little head do not belong to item number 53. And if 53 was the one that has her DNA on it, and it was found rolling out of a rug, well, you have to deduce the logical thing. It picked it up while it was being rolled. So as it's rolling out of the rug, it rolled through that section, picked up her DNA, ended up on the floor, because we know it didn't go through her little tiny head. The fragments and the weight of that bullet prove that. Do the math. This isn't us saying it. This is their math, their writing, their evidence, which is telling us this. It's missing. We don't have her bullet.
yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's right there. It's in the reports, and it's not like we're misconstruing it or twisting it or anything. It's in black and white. You just have to put one and one together to get to that. But
Yeah. It's simple math.
yeah,
If you know how to add and subtract, you can figure it out. And
and
this is
then
geared towards other people, not our group. Our group is great.
yeah, yeah.
This is for the
But
others. Do the math. That's all I'm going to tell you. Do the math.
and then you just look at the bullets too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You just look at the bullets that were collected. I mean, item 53 was on that carpet. It was somewhere on that carpet.
Mm-hmm.
So it should look just like Komel's,
If it
but they
had gone
don't.
through a body, you're
Yeah,
correct.
if it had gone through a body, if it literally killed Rania, but we don't see that. I mean, item 57, I can understand, some people could say, well, it wasn't on the carpet, so it wasn't in contact with the air, it wasn't in contact with everything that was going on in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see people debating that. But 53 was in the living room. It was on that carpet, supposedly.
Mm-hmm.
So it should look like item 42, 43, and 44.
Yeah, but it does not.
And see, that one we believe is the angle of how they took that photo because all the others show it very, very shiny.
Yeah, the lighting and stuff in here. Oh, that's really good. I mean, you clearly see like that does look like part of the rug that's caught into
Hmm.
that. So it looks like how that, however this one was shot, it came in contact with the rug as it was expanding and then caught up the rug in its petals.
But
Um,
why didn't it go through the floors? I don't
well, we don't.
understand
I mean,
this.
we don't know. We don't know. We haven't seen that the entire crime scene. They only show us bits and pieces. This could have been at an angle. We have no clue.
Wouldn't the carpet fibers make you think that this was shot in the house on that carpet?
Oh yes, that one was. Yeah, I would say that that
Yeah.
was shot in that living room. On that somehow came in contact either as it's spinning, it hits something, and as it's mushrooming, it's in contact with the rug, and it picks up that section of fiber right there because that really does look like it's embedded within the petals. So
Yeah.
as it's expanding, it does look like it came in contact. But I am not seeing hair.
Yeah, but it's also how you said it, it could be possible that, it was hair from the
Yeah,
carpet, right? But it would have to be really, really tiny hair unless it's
yeah.
just, again, these are not the greatest photos, the one that they gave us either.
But we still see how shiny it is. You see how shiny that brass is. It
Yeah.
doesn't look oxidized at all. It's very, and look how what is that, tin on the inside? I can't remember what the metal is, but it's very shiny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And
Do
way
you know? I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was
Um,
just saying way different.
I need
The
help understanding how this bullet did not go through the floor. If it hit the carpet hard enough to grab fibers from the carpet, how did it not go through the floor? I mean, supposedly item 57 went through David's head, did a U-turn, and then went up into the ceiling and bounced off the rafters. How did this bullet not go through the floor?
Well, again, we don't know. Was this shot at an angle? Was somebody trying to, shoot somebody on a floor at an angle and it went? We don't, this is all supposition. We don't know. It clearly was not shot directly into toward the floor, or it would have been like item number 45. It would have gone straight through the wood. Um, but again, we don't know. All we can tell you is, I mean, all we can say is from what this is showing us is it came in contact with the rug as it was expanded, because that really does look like it's embedded within the petals. How they did
Uh,
it, we don't know. Was the gun at an angle? Did they put the gun on the floor and shoot? I don't know. Not a clue.
Well, speaking about those pedals, I mean, I guess this is the other thing that I would ask someone who doesn't know how all this works, but how does that work where one comes up missing? Like what causes just one to come up missing? What causes several to come up missing? It's just whatever it hits, right?
Yeah, that tells you that it hit something pretty hard. But again, what did it come in contact with? Because we don't see any other damage. But again, we don't know. We weren't there.
I
Did
mean,
it hit?
what would it have to hit? A
I
bulletproof
don't.
vest or something?
Oh no, 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 no. I mean, we don't know. Did it hit the leg of a couch? Did it hit the leg of a table? I mean, we don't know. And at the same time, is it coming in contact with the leg of a couch and then it bounces? You know, did it
Yeah,
ricochet off?
ricochet.
No clue. Which could have happened. Maybe they were shooting at an angle. This is just pure hypothesis. Nothing. It's not. It's just a guess. Let's say they're on the floor shooting low because they're trying to make it look like a suicide, whoever shoots
Well,
this gun. So as they shoot it, it's like, oops, it now ricochets off, it hits the say the leg of a couch or something. And then that, as it's expanding, it's now rolling underneath the couch on the rug and picks up that section of rug. Pure hypothesis, nothing to prove that to be true, but it's what I'm using to try to make sense.
but as you go back and you look at the way that she was shot, that should line up with this here too, right? So if she was shot at the angle that the that we're being told, um, does that line up with a bullet that would not need to go through the flooring? Or
Um,
does it line up with a bullet that would have to go, that would have to have some impact with that floor at some point?
were you talking about this one, item number 53?
Yeah, yeah, 53. And I guess it's hard to tell because even though we know where Rania was shot on her head, we don't know if she was standing up or sitting down or being
Or
held. We
even,
don't know
yeah.
any of that, right?
No, we
So,
don't even know where she was. We
right.
just know that she was not shot in that living room because her blood, well, she wasn't shot in the house. Her blood isn't there. There's no blood of hers at all. So, but I would think, we'll do devil's advocate here. Let's say that was the one that went through her little tiny head. It would have been found underneath her head between Komel's legs. It would have been found. They would have seen it. It would have had to exit there because her little head was flush with the floor. So if it had, whatever, if it came, well, it didn't, the bullet that killed her did exit her head. So as it would have exited, if her head is, we're doing their narrative now, not ours. So for according to the narrative and how the bodies were found, it would have been underneath her head on that floor between Komel's legs. But we know that's not where this was found because it was not found until 2 days later when they're rolling up the rug, getting ready to get rid of it. And then it rolls out from the rug. And they have no idea where it was located on the rug. And that's true. They have no idea. They didn't see it. They just know it came rolling out.
I would also ask anyone who knows about this stuff, and both of you here too, if you know, you may have more, probably definitely have more experience with guns than I ever have, but this is one of the other things that I would ask, talking about what it would have to hit, et cetera, because all the other pedals are back, right? They're all pushed back,
Extended, yeah.
but this one isn't. This one looks like, I mean, does this show, this pedal that's kind of open, show that it hit something really, really hard? Maybe
Yeah.
something metal, maybe.
Um, Again, or maybe a thick piece of wood, like, because the legs of a couch are pretty thick wood, usually metal
Hmm.
or wood. And just a guess is as it's expanding, when it ripped off the one pedal, that's what kept that pedal from folding completely in on itself. And while the other ones did, it's just the angle at which it hit. And as it pulled, it kept that one from folding in. Just a guess.
Yeah.
Well, Crip says that he has a friend who's a gunsmith that is coming over for coffee today and wants to
Nice.
know if we have any questions that we could give them.
Can they answer any of these questions, Rick? I don't know. Or maybe help with them? Just about the bullet. Maybe show them some photos of the bullet. I don't know.
How hard of, like, well, what you were asking is how hard of a surface to expand that hollow point bullet.
Yeah.
What would it have to hit to expand to expand the petals?
Oh, Rick, you can ask him. One thing you can ask him is, has he ever heard where a bullet hit something and then gained weight? I think that's definitely. I was just like, so yeah. I don't know. I got it. I'm gonna ask every gun owner I know.
Well, what Sophia was saying, though, when you think about it, it makes sense because when that bullet, when it's hitting the ceiling and then it's going through the sheetrock and then going through the insulation and everything, it's picking stuff up and getting pulled into the petals. So I bet you 10 to 1, like she said, it picked up some of that sheetrock and pulled it in underneath. And that's going to give a little bit of weight versus hair. I mean, hair's not really it. Oh, that would be great if Frick could do that. I mean, yeah. But we know that item 57, that's only partially expanded. And we know it has all of its weight and then some. So we know it's shiny, no blood, no tissue, no hair, and it has extra weight. So we know 57 never touched a human body. 53 didn't go through the body either.
I see a little hair maybe on this one. What do you think about that? On this open petal thingamabobber thing.
Well, I can't see.
Yeah,
Um,
I know. Probably
I
not the
can't tell
best.
if that's hair or is that a scratch. Maybe it's a hair. But then when you look at that, that looks like it picked it up off of the rug. That does.
Yes.
It's not embedded. So,
And
ooh, yeah.
yeah, and that's also the last foot. Well, it's kind of, it's a little bit there. It's a little bit on that one too. But yeah, some of the other ones, I don't know if it's there or not.
I really wish they would have gotten better photos. These are really, and the sad thing is when I was looking through the reports, they actually took 29 photos that day, and these are the ones they send us.
Yeah. Only 29, huh? Well,
Yeah,
I guess
29
that's
is quite a few for
pretty much
one
quite a few.
bullet. Yeah.
If it ricocheted off something, you couldn't really, there's nothing
Oh,
they
can
could
you
do at
still
that point.
compare?
This one here?
Oh, okay. Okay. See, that doesn't really. That looks more like a scratch
I
or
still see a lot. Yeah, I'm still seeing.
a defect because there's no hair hanging off of it. It's only a straight line on it.
I'll
Well, I
go
don't
back
know.
to the
Hey, it
one.
could be, maybe. I don't know. That's a good question.
This is the only one where it kind of looks like the line is also, but it's hard to tell if the line is in the carpet or if it's just that. I don't know. And you can't see my, oh, you guess you
Yeah, I
can
can.
see
I
my
can see
cursor.
your. Yeah.
So kind of over here kind of looks like maybe a line, and then over here kind of looks like maybe a line. I don't know. It's really hard
Let
to
me
tell.
zoom in on my computer. Um,
But what it would have to
no, you
hit,
make a good point because it does line up with that little spot. If it was the floor, the pattern in the faux wood on the floor, then that would be awfully convenient to match up. So maybe that is a piece of hair. But again, it doesn't look like that looks like something that would have been picked up as it was rolling though.
correct, because it looks like it's on top of it. It's
Yeah.
not, yeah, it's not underneath it or anything. So
Yeah.
it's weird.
Ooh, this is, I mean, good view of that, of the fibers. I mean, that you can really tell that got stuck into the petals. So it was going on that floor as it was expanding, not a body.
It
Not a
should have
body.
gone through the carpet.
You wanted to go through the carpet.
Well, only if
It
it
should
only if
have.
you're no, only if you're shooting straight down. If it's going at an angle, it would have been tumbling over the rug, not through the rug.
I mean, how does it stay on the rug? It's not a big rug. We don't know the surf. Too bad we didn't know the measurements of that rug either, because I mean, it's not really, it's hard to say where it's found because of it just rolls out of a carpet. We don't know exactly what side of the carpet. I mean,
Or, hey, here's something. Let me toss this out there and you guys tell me if I'm crazy. It's okay. What if I haven't looked at the hole in the rug that number 45 was put through, but what
hmm
if there were two shots into that floor in that spot? The first one was that one, it bounced off and rolled away. And then the second one was number 45 that actually made it through. I don't know.
I don't know. Guess they don't
Where
really
was
say.
it where number 45 went through? Sophia, do you remember? Was that color area on the rug? Was it the lighter part or
I can go
darker?
look right now.
Oh, okay.
Let's
I,
see.
I may be able to pull it up. Bum, bum. Oops.
I had a cup right next to me, and my cat just put her paw in it.
Oh no.
Are you enjoying it? Hmm?
Let's see here. 45. I think that's in the BCA.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably better ones. I mean, not the BC. There's better ones in the BCA, but what about the AVPD? Oh, wait, is that it? That just shows the other side of the carpet.
Yeah, it'll say F
31 was on the
first.
blonde part.
Yeah,
I'm looking.
look for the card F, not 45.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's not on the AVPD. It's BCA.
Yeah, I think it was BCA, and yeah, look for it. Yeah.
Let's find these BCA ones here. $7-Eleven.
Yeah,
All the basement.
it looks like we're looking for F, right?
Yes.
I can't tell if that's been moved. F is on the blonde part of the carpet, but I can't tell if it's been moved or not. This is BCA 5126 and then BCA 5127.
Yeah, keep going.
No, I see it now. That was the other side of the F. It's on the blue part. We are looking at BCA 5128.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
127.
So that it very well could be. That could be your answer.
No, the actual hole is in the blue part
Yeah.
right there. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sorry.
So that could be. They could have, shot twice in the same spot, and the first one didn't make it through. Second one did. Possible.
Interesting.
Oh, you see, there's some blonde fibers that are pulled up on that photo next to F. They're
Mm-hmm.
just sitting there on top of the carpet.
So
All right. Well, oh, all right. Anything else about this one? I think you covered it very well.
yeah, I just don't. There's nothing else. I just keep repeating myself. It's not the bullet that killed her. The weights don't match up, and she had too many fragments in her head. It's all backed up by reports. It's not the one that killed her. We don't have the one that killed her.
Sophia, any final thoughts?
I'm just, I would have loved to see those photos of the extra pieces, or at least have weights and measurements of them. Uh, but they just went poof after they were found, and that's a little disturbing. But this is it's pretty obvious that after what Catherine has found in the paperwork, that item 53 is not the bullet that killed Rania.
Yep.
I mean, there's too many pieces left in Rania's body for item 53 to be that bullet.
And Sophia's right. I mean, as soon as they were photographed, and they should have, called the ABPD. They should have come over, picked it up. They should have logged it. They should have numbered them. you know, they should have then given it to their ballistics, because they were doing ballistics anyway, and then to see what they could get to match up. But they did nothing. They just photographed it, logged it, and put it away.
Yeah, it's like they didn't want the answers.
Mm-mm. No.
I mean, it's frustrating. It's like, why not send it over to the BCA, have it match it up to the other bullets? Isn't that what we see in movies and TV shows? I mean, this is just, I know that those aren't reality, but I'm just saying, isn't that what we see though? It's consistent. They go through, they match the pieces up to the bullets that were found at the crime scene. And anyway, I'm getting off topic a little bit. So,
Oh, I'm curious to see what you ladies come up with next.
Oh, the things we have planned.
I'm
There's
sure
just
you've got a few.
yeah,
we have,
there's quite a bit.
and we're finding stuff like this everywhere. I mean, absolutely everywhere. And yeah, like I said, to keep adding on to it. David and Raniya's blood, not in the house. The bullets that killed them, not in the house. Someone's DNA in the house. And we can say that because we have two examples. Item number 53, which you looked at, it has a mixture of two or more individuals. David and Komel are excluded. And I believe the same goes with item number 42 or 43 or whatever, one of the bullets that killed Komel. Same thing. You know, David and Raniya, either they're excluded or they don't match. So we have other DNA in that house associated with evidence, with the bullets that killed somebody or were shot within that house. So no blood. The bullets that killed them aren't there. Someone else's DNA. We don't, Raniya's, just her autopsy tells us that there was, and in fact, now we're missing another bullet, completely another bullet. So we're missing two bullets, David's bullet and Raniya's bullet. There's, it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Well, I don't know if anyone here has not seen your latest video, but if they haven't, this is your channel, and you have a lot of great stuff on there as well. The latest one that you have, where you talk about the photos showing the gun is fake. You maybe just give us a little summary of that before we close down here.
Okay, and that one, boy, did that one cause a firestorm with some people.
It's
But
definitely a hot Catherine video.
it
There it
is
is.
too.
Got it. There's always one. Yeah, right. Every
Uh,
video on there. Look
he's
at
like,
all these videos. Come on.
I'm so glad I make them so happy. But what I had
Feeling hot,
always
hot,
wondered,
hot.
you know, previously when I saw the very first one, as we all know, I'd put out stuff before to show it was fake. And then, William was really convinced it was the real deal. And, I took him at his word. I had no, I'm like, okay, I made a mistake. Fine. People make mistakes. I'm not above making mistakes. So I'm like, okay, fine. And then Sophie and I were talking about stuff, and it just kept going in the back of my head. She's like, over and over, it's fake. It's fake. And she'd be like, I can't put my finger on it, but it's fake. So one day, I had nothing to do. And I'm like, let me just really double check this. So I start looking and I start zooming in, and I'm looking at one thing and I'm looking at this, and all of a sudden I start to see where things aren't right. Now I used to do photography, and composite photography was what I love to do the most. So I look at things differently than the average person. Other people who do what I do, we look at photos the same way. But the average person would look and go, "Oh, look, it's a photo. It's a gun on the floor, blah blah blah." But I start looking at this and I'm like, "Wait, why is there a straight line there? Why is that calf curved? Why does her thigh have this in it, but it's not in this photo? Why is on the back of her knee why is it straight here, but in the photo it's up? So I start noticing all these things. And then I start looking at the pants. I'm like, why is it elongated from the crotch area to the waist? And then I go and I looked at the pants, and they're short. So these are the things that caught my eye. And so I'm like, wait a second. This photo has been manipulated. So I start looking at the area on the floor where the gun is located, and it's they either are using a warp tool or they're using something to close out or to hide that area. And then what drew my attention to that area was the close-up that they did of the gun on the floor, that little tiny thing that they gave us. And there was a section where they put like a blur, and you could tell they were blurring things out. And then when I looked at the real photo, I'm like, so I'm zooming in going, there's no need to blur this section unless you're hiding something. And then as I'm zooming in, so that's kind of what led to it. And so this video, what I do is I just point out a lot, not all, there's still more in there, but I just did not want to go into that. It had to do with the positioning of David's arm. But I think that and then some other things. But I figured what I pointed out was more than enough to show you that that photo was manipulated within a program. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Yep, and people can go and watch that here. It's the most recent one. Photo showing gun is fake. David Crowley of Gray State. So that one's really good. That's a short one. 30 minutes, only 30 minutes there.
I guess I can stop talking, huh?
But the one that you did first, you did like a little skit type video, which I thought was awesome. So that one's back up now?
Yes. Yes, I put that back up. I mean, I took it down because if I made a mistake, then didn't really seem right to have that there, because, you know, the whole skit was based on it being a fake photo. And that's kind of what I you know, did that whole skit about was a fake photograph at a scene. But now then once I saw that, I go, no, that was a fun thing I thought we did. It was, and I'm like, well, no, I'm putting that thing back up.
Awesome. Glad to see it's back up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you both have some more things coming down the pipeline, and we're all looking forward to that. And thank you for sharing all of this with us. And hopefully everybody learned something, give us some things to think about, and maybe we can get some more people, you know, to look at the bullets, the fragments, to kind of look at the math. If anyone wants to double check the math or double check anything.
I want them to. I want everybody to go look at those numbers and then compare them. You know, I put a spreadsheet together and I took it directly off their reports, but don't take my word for it. Go to those reports, look at the math, please, please.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and close this one down here, and thanks everybody for joining us in this live broadcast. We'll be back very soon to talk about some other issues too, and of course, make sure that you check out Catherine, 1L, Michele. Just type that in on YouTube, and it'll take you right here. You can check out all of her videos there. All right, my friends, thank you both, and I will go ahead and shut this down.